Hello, this is a support video for the C# object-oriented programming. The third of the object-oriented programming challenges, all about constructors. So the idea is we need a class called construction site vehicle, and the class should have two attributes which we've been given already. So remember, an attribute is like a variable that belongs to each instance of the class. So a class is like a template that allows us to both store data, which is attributes, and do stuff, which is methods. So methods can be procedures or functions, so that's code that can be called and do something useful, but it's code that's related to the class. So a constructor is a special type of method which is called when you make a new instance of that class, as in if we make a new construction site vehicle, then we construct a new construction site vehicle. So to do that, it needs to be public because we access it from outside of the class. The name of the constructor is always the same as the name of the class in C#. And then we need to provide two parameters to the constructor. So the first is going to be the name, which is a string, and the second parameter is going to be the speed as an integer. So in a constructor, in this constructor, we now have a local variable or a parameter which is treated like a local variable called name, and we've got a parameter which is treated like a local variable called speed. If we want to set the attribute called name to the parameter called name, we can't just do name equals name because it doesn't know, well, we don't know what we're talking about. We want to set this attribute to this parameter value, so we use the this keyword. So this means the current instance of the class, as in whichever construction site vehicle we're currently using, or in the case of a constructor, whichever instance of the class we're currently creating, we'll set that value and we'll set it to the parameter that we're passing in. So we want to do the same here. This.speed equals speed. And that's partly it, but there's a little bit of validation that we need to do too, because here it should only allow, I think it's the first 10 characters, is it? So it should get truncated if it goes on more than 10 characters. We need to truncate this parameter value. So let's see, if name.length is more than 10, then name.length equals name.substring. We can specify the start position and the length, and then that stores it back into that parameter so that when we set it to the attribute, we should be okay. So that will do some of the validation, but there's a little bit more that we need to do too. It's string.length cannot be assigned. Oops, I just want to say name is equal to the substring. There we go. So substring means part of a string. What's happened now? Let's see. So here, if you pass in a speed more than 100, we want to limit that speed to 100, or if it is less than 0, it should also be less than 0. So I won't do both of those, but you'll be able to do this yourself. If the speed is greater than 100, set the speed back to 100, and then similarly, if the speed is less than 0, set the speed back to 0. That should be enough to get you going.